Snacks!
Now, when we say snacks, we're talking about plant-based snacks, and these are ones that fit our lifestyle, which also includes low fat. Makes it a little bit more tricky, but it can still be done.
So when we want a snack, we just want to eat something.
Yep.
We don't want to think about it. We don't want to make a big fuss. We just want to eat something.
And it's usually at the wrong time of day to be eating.
Yeah.
And if you eat a bad for you snack, then that's just compounding the problem. I'm a snacker, okay?
He's a snacker.
I am. I sit down in front of the TV and I got to put something in my mouth. It's a thing.
I'm constantly asking him, are you really hungry or are you just bored? And that's
It's
a
usually
question
bored.
it's good for all of us to ask ourselves, I think, before we even get to the snacks. But
we are going to really talk about snacks.
We are.
We're not telling you don't have them. We're going to just say eat the right things.
So if you're really hungry and you need just a little something, here's our favorites. The first one is Veg and Hummus. Now, hummus can be fat-laden.
Yeah.
And if you put tons of tahini and oil in there, the calories and the fat are going to go up.
So really we're talking about bean dip.
Yes. And we have our own hummus recipe where we don't use tahini, we don't use oil. Instead, we use PB Fit, which is a
defatted powdered peanut butter.
Yeah. So I know some people are shaking their fists at me right now saying, that's not a whole food.
No, it works.
It's just ground up peanuts,
Yeah,
people.
it's technically not a whole food, but it is just defatted peanuts.
Right. So it's going to have a lot less fat and still give you that nutty flavor that you're looking for in a hummus.
And it's nice and creamy. You could still dip stuff in it. Now, what veg do you dip in that? What veg do you not dip in that, basically? I do everything from carrot sticks, like even the little baby carrots. That's the only use I have for baby carrots.
Yep.
We buy them that way just so that I don't have to cut them up.
Just for snacks.
Because here's the thing. When it comes to snacking, I go for the least trouble possible.
Right.
Whatever I can just grab is what I'm going to have, which means if it's bad for me, that's usually the easiest thing. But having carrot sticks and celery and hummus already made, sitting right there in the fridge, I just have to grab that and go back and sit down. It takes me 30 seconds to grab a snack.
So if you have a person like that in your life, go ahead and prep some veg so that it's already bite-sized and easily accessible in your refrigerator so that when they really want that snack, it's easier for them to make the right choice.
And I do the carrot sticks. I do celery. I have been known to cut up zucchini. I love zucchini that way.
Broccoli,
cauliflower. Raw cauliflower is probably my favorite thing to dip.
Mushrooms.
Yep, mushrooms work too, but not as much. I don't do as many mushrooms that way.
I like mushrooms.
But as a snack, I don't grab the mushrooms.
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers can work too. That's not a problem. Yep. Those are the basic veg that I do that with, and that works really, really well.
Now, Brian did talk a little bit saying that hummus is basically a bean dip, and that means you're not limited to chickpeas. Yeah. You can use basically any bean you want as long as...
Spice it up however you like.
Sure. You can also spice up your hummus. And what I would say is if you didn't want to be stuck with one flavor of hummus, go ahead and make a nice batch of hummus, but then make a bunch of smaller toppings, if you will. So you can
I do that.
Like a lemon herb topping. You can do a spicy jalapeno topping.
Gochujang.
You can just put some hot sauce.
That's what I do. I take out some of the hummus into another bowl, add some gochujang or hot sauce to it, and mix that through. That way the whole batch is not that way.
Right.
And that way I'm also limited to how much I can have.
And that different variety, if you have it right on hand, is really going to satisfy whatever snack craving you may have. It'll be prepared for you. It'll be a healthy option, and it'll be easy.
Then the next thing that we have is fresh fruit. Now, we generally have apples and halo oranges lying around in the house, just on the table. They're right there. I can grab an apple. I can grab a halo orange. I actually heard something that was perfect for snackers. It said, if you're not hungry enough to eat an apple, you're really not that hungry. And I try to think about that a lot. And I do eat quite a few apples and oranges throughout the day. You know, like 1 or 2 every day. But we also keep blueberries usually, sometimes raspberries, strawberries in the fridge. Now, they have to be washed off before they can be used. And we don't like to wash them first because then they can rot and they go bad faster. But we tend to eat that at least once a day as like a dessert after a meal. Yeah,
berries are so beneficial for you.
Oh, yeah.
They're an antioxidant.
Lots of fiber.
Lots
They're
of
low in
fiber.
calories.
Yeah,
there are tons of great stuff.
and if
about
you're a
berries.
sufferer of a sweet tooth, those berries are really going to satisfy you and keep you away from the candy
Yep.
and chocolate.
Sit there with a bowl of blueberries. Trust me, you'll be much better off than a bowl of candy. So fruit's easy. And I mean, what fruits would you have? You can do melons, you can do berries, basically anything you can think of. Just avoid the canned stuff and heavy syrups and things like that. We're talking real fruit, whole fruit, fresh fruit, as it is.
Next up is a crowd pleaser, and that is popcorn.
Now, before you get too crazy on me, I'm not talking about the stuff that you buy in a store's microwave. I'm talking about just you're buying popcorn in a jar. And here's how I do it. It's so easy. I actually have it's like a silicone bowl. We can put a link to it in the description.
Yep.
I just measure out the amount of popcorn I'm going to have. Usually it's about 30 grams of kernels. I put that in there, put the lid on it, stick it in the microwave on the popcorn setting. That's it. I don't add anything else to it. And before you say, "Oh, I can't eat popcorn that way," try it. You'll get used to it. Don't get me wrong. I loved it when I used to put like the butter and oil and all the stuff on my popcorn, but that is so unhealthy for you. That's where the problems with popcorn come from. Popcorn itself is low calorie and low in fat.
Now, if you really need to add the flavor to the popcorn, try adding nutritional yeast. That's going to give you a cheesy umami
Or chili powder,
flavor.
garlic powder, whatever you like.
Sure.
It doesn't stick super, super well this way, I'll admit, but it can be done. So it's totally okay.
Next up is probably the most processed thing we consume on a regular basis, and that's Pretzel Crisps.
Yeah, usually they're in a blue bag, and what they are is it looks like a pretzel cut in half. So you have like a whole pretzel cut down the middle, and you have a flat side and a round side.
It's like a pretzel chip.
Yeah, they are extraordinarily low fat, as in I think it says 0 on the serving size, but that's because of the serving size that they do. Nothing has no fat. There's just very low
but I
fat.
think the serving size is like 11.
It's like 10 or 11
Yeah.
of the pieces, and they're decent sized pieces. I almost never only eat one serving. But anyway, these are great. I eat them alone, like just as a snack. They're also good, like a couple times when I was nauseous from, eating wrong things. They actually will settle my stomach a little bit too, because they're very neutral. It's almost like bread, except that they don't have as high of a carb count as bread seems to, and they're hard and crunchy, which makes it, for me as a type 2 diabetic, it doesn't spike my blood sugars nearly as much as some other carbohydrate foods do. But they come in different flavors as well. Just be careful. Some of the flavors have milk. I tend to avoid those.
So like always, check your labels before purchasing something.
Right. But they're good alone, and they're really good in my spicy ranch dip that I make, which is basically made with morinu tofu. So you're basically using tofu as a dip.
They're also another item that's really great in hummus.
Yeah. And salsa. Just your regular plain old salsa, anything that you like, because they're going to be relatively low in calorie. They're not going to have any fat. So it's a wonderful condiment. And it actually works really nice with the pretzel flavor. It just actually works really well. And it's convenient.
Yes. If you really love chips and salsa like I do, beware, because those tortilla chips are loaded with fat.
Oh my God, yeah. And salt.
The pretzel crisps are really going to be a better option on the fat front.
Then we get into the slightly heavier things. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
All right. So we mentioned our love affair slightly with PB Fit before in the hummus, as we use that as a tahini alternative. But PB Fit itself, mixed up with just a little bit of water, is an instant peanut butter.
Yep.
It tastes great. It really does. And we use that as a peanut butter replacement in basically anything you can think of for adding peanut butter. As Brian mentioned,
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Ezekiel bread. It comes frozen. Go get the low sodium version. Super low fat, low in sodium. Really good for you. Lots of fiber. Lots of all the good stuff, and not as much of the bad stuff. 2 slices of that. A little bit of PB Fit on there. A little bit of jelly. Yeah, sorry, I get a little bit of jelly sometimes. And put that together. It is the most low fat, very nutritious peanut butter and jelly sandwich you'll ever have. Is it health food? Not really.
no, but it's certainly a better option than the traditional.
Exactly. There's so many ways that you can go wrong and have it bad. That is actually probably the best option for a bad option. How's that sound?
Some other snack options utilizing the peanut butter version of PB Fit is celery.
Yeah.
Get a celery stick, load it
Fill
up.
that channel in the middle
That's
there
right.
with the PB Fit.
So you're going to get the great crunch of the celery and that yummy peanut butter sensation in the middle. It's a great, really filling, surprisingly filling snack. Also, I have been known to dip strawberries in that peanut butter, and
I've never done
is decadent.
Although that would be like peanut butter and jelly.
It's like a fantastic dessert-like thing
I never thought to do that.
if you're trying to satisfy that sweet tooth like I am without getting overboard.
The next one I've done.
Apple
Apples.
slices. Apple slices and peanut butter is
It's
fantastic.
a natural fit. It just
It's
works.
lovely.
I don't know why it works, but it does. And then, last but not least, this one is maybe controversial to some.
Sure.
French fries.
Yeah.
But done a certain way. I'll just take a potato, wash it, just, scrub it real good, leave the skin on it, and I'll cut that up into steak fries, French fries, throw it in the air fryer. No oil, no seasoning, nothing. Maybe a touch of salt if you really need to, or some garlic. Actually, I like smoked paprika on my fries, just saying. You can do some spices on it. And about 15 minutes at like 375, and give them a shake every now and then. Perfect fries. Of course, I do put ketchup on them.
Now,
But you don't
you
have
are
to.
not limited to ketchup when it comes to French fries. And I really encourage you to explore your horizons, your options when it comes to French fries. They are a potato.
Yep.
So potatoes taste great with practically anything. One of my favorite sauces for French fries is barbecue sauce.
How about malt vinegar?
Malt vinegar is great. It replicates
Like a fish and chips kind of deal.
right. Gochujang is really nice.
Gochujang.
On French fries.
Even like a vegan mayo, but that's not low fat unless you make it our way where we use Morinu tofu to make it.
Yep.
And it actually works really, really well. My spicy ranch works really good on those fries, by the way.
There are so many options for the French fries, and using the air fryer, it's really quick, it's low fat, and it's satisfying because it's a potato.
And you're getting your starches in, Anybody that's doing the starch solution, that's a great way to get your starches in.
Do you have a favorite snack that is easy and plant-based? Please share it with us in the comment section so that way everybody else can get on some healthy snacking.
As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.
Bistro.